Welcome to Focus on Business, a podcast show for photographers with me, your host, Jane Goodrich. I'm talking to successful photographers so you can learn from our experiences and have the business of your dreams. So join us and let's focus on business. Today we have Alena Johnsen, and she's a fantastic fine art photographer, and I can't wait for you to hear all about her story and how she runs two businesses that are crazy busy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited.
Well, thanks. Give us a little bit of background on who Alena is and where you came from and why you got started in photography.
Yes, my husband and I, we own Teodoro Studios. So we are a fine art portrait brand. We do provide, besides the digitals, beautiful keepsakes for our clients, full art. We help them from start to finish. We have two sides of the business. We have the brand that's heavily oriented to vacationers on the beach in Florida. So we are in 38 stretch, Rosemary Beach, Alice Beach, Seaside. But also, and I can kind of like tell a little story later, how we ended up moving from that area after a hurricane. We ended up in Tallahassee, Florida, which is 2.5 hours away, where we have a physical studio now, and we do a lot of branding, headshots, commercial. So we had to readjust our business while still traveling to our favorite beach and photographing our clients there from out of state, and also running the operations here for the actual studio.
Why photography? What got you and your husband into photography?
So it was 14 years ago. Actually, it was earlier than that. My son, he was little, and had the mom friends, and one of them had this amazing camera and the lens, and I was, wow, how do you make your photos of the kids so blurry in the background? And I was just fascinated because every time she would share photos, they were so much better than anybody else's. Oh yes, it was a Rebel camera. Just the lens was that when I didn't know what makes the photos so beautiful. And then I started kind of digging into it, but I bought a camera, the Rebel, back in the day.
Same.
Yes. And I was like, well, I still don't understand how to work it. So I was on auto mode. And one day I'm at her house and she's, well, you're smart. What are you doing with this auto mode? And I'm like, I don't know. I tried. I don't get it. And she's, okay, here are a couple magazines. Back in the day, photography magazines are super cute and awesome. And then the concept clicked right away after reading one article. Oh, why didn't I think of it right away? I guess I just didn't at the right source, I guess. And then manual started for me, and that was an eye-opener. So that's how I kind of dove into it. But photography was more for the kids, friends, whatever. But then all of a sudden, I started seeing these beautiful, absolutely stunning weddings on 38. And I'm like, wow, this is what I want to do. But I was, obviously they're professionals and I'm not. So I got into creative life back in the day, watched everything I can, started kind of helping. I knew a few companies who did little beach ceremonies. So I tried to help them. And kind of, I don't know if it's my thing or not. But then it did evolve since I already figured out off-camera flash through creative life and this and that. I became a second shooter for 2 or 3 weddings, literally. But then I put my website together myself, and it went crazy. Even the next year, to me, it was crazy. Now I don't think it's crazy. But back in the day, I'm like, I just booked 6 weddings in a row from just that kind of little being a second shooter. Yeah, so that's kind of evolved. But I never thought that even from there, being a mom photographer, to weddings, which were high-end weddings on 38, and to this day they are, to actually having a studio and getting into other genres. I just never imagined that's what happened to me.
Do you still keep in contact with your friend that had the camera?
Yes, actually her daughter is working for me now. She does social media. Now she is like a college student, and her marketing major is helping me in the studio to do all of our social media.
That's amazing. Did she ever help you?
No, we moved it, so like we're in different locations. Okay. That is, so yeah. But she's a photographer as well, more like at her leisure time, I would say. In reality, she's the one who pushed me, and I really appreciate that little nudge. Oh, okay, you can do it.
I think we all have that little nudge of someone's giving you the confidence, being, yeah, I can do this.
Right.
If you were to travel back in time, you talked a little bit about, I worked with other photographers, and would you have given yourself any advice to do anything differently? Would you change anything?
I would right away get a mentor, but not only just photography mentor. No, it would have to be a business photography coach. The reason is I feel like I wasted maybe 4 years not knowing what I'm really doing, maybe more than 4 when I look at it. And then once I connected with the right person who became my mentor for years, and even to this day, sometimes we would reconnect and talk, that opened my eyes onto other genres, how to charge people, because literally I was guessing, looking around what other photographers are doing in the area without even having the breakdowns of what I really need to make. That opened my eyes. And I feel like that unknown, although I started making money in the first years, but it wasn't that I had the right structure, that I had the right mindset about it, because mindset is everything as well. Because I see so many newbies fail in the first year or two just because they get frustrated and burned out, because they charge $100, $200 per session, include all the digitals, and they just don't know there's so much more in serving clients beyond just giving the digitals right away at the very little price point. And they get burned out because let's say they book 100 sessions for their season and they don't know their names, they don't know who they are. It's just like a conveyor belt in and out. That is why I feel like a lot of newer photographers need to educate themselves in the business aspect, not just photography itself. So that
I think it's huge. You're in an area where you don't know of a photographer or business mentor. There are places. One, get an accountant. I say number one, get an accountant, because they can actually really help you and figure out exactly what you're pricing, and any good accountant can really guide you in that way. But there are also, in the US, there's Small Business Association, there's score.org is a mentorship. They might not necessarily know exactly, but they can help you going to a photography group or something like that. Just make sure it's in the right genre that you're doing.
Right.
We did a study, and it's there's every 1 hour photo shoot that to run a business, there's actually 12 hours of back end work. It used to be 9, but now it's 12 because of all the advent of social media. And so it's interesting that you say that you would do that going back in time. On to my next question, and that's, you have already done it. So if you were to move your business, or tell us how you run your business, you can probably get some lessons learned.
That one was a hard one. We ran a business on 30 on the beach, and I was so used to people just inquiring, we're booking now. The marketing was different than when we moved. That's why it gave me 2 perspectives on 2 different things. So the market where we were was very non-local. Everybody was coming from out of state to do beach ceremonies, beach weddings, or, family photography, because it evolved for me. When I met my current husband in 2016, he came from a family of photographers, old school master photographers. So their structure back in the day was different. So he grew up knowing other things than what I was doing. And he's like, well, let's do family photography. And I was kind of terrified. You know what? I'm great at weddings, but maybe we should, because at that point I already had my mentor too. And the possibilities are there, but I was scared. I was not thought of something new. When we were settled in our routine back in 2018 to have everything and dealing with out-of-state clients, when the Hurricane Michael happened, we had to move. And it was a drastic change for me. I did not expect it. We had to literally get the kids, pack whatever, because our house was damaged there. And we moved 2.5 hours away to Tallahassee. If you don't have a drastic change like that, you would be at an advantage. I didn't plan on it. I didn't prepare. Now, looking back, first of all, I would research the area where you're moving, check everything. It's like, what kind of situation is there. Let's say the beach is very touristy and it's one clientele coming completely from different areas. Here, it's all local based. And I was, what? What do they even do with locals? I don't know anybody. So it's literally who you know. For locals, it's different. So I would definitely research household income and certain zip codes, not to sound very, it has to be a part of it, because when you look at who spends money, rich people in general, because photography is a luxury for a lot of people. So you have to know the area you're moving into. So do your research there. So as far as marketing before the move, I would start literally figuring out if I want to join some Facebook groups where people are looking for photographers, or if it's more of a local group, like Tallahassee has a Live in Tallahassee group, or, whichever groups there are. So I'm just seeing what's going on. People are requesting sometimes referrals. I would do Google ads, especially if it's a vacation area and people come to vacation there, because a lot of times if it's a hot spot, people are looking for photographers there. So, and that's what I teach in my course. I'm actually doing it for vacation hotspot photographers who live there, because the marketing is different than to locals, because locals in the vacation hotspots are usually not your clients, but in other towns they are. So there's very different approach to that. But in both areas, so let's say you're moving, as soon as you move, or even prior to that, I would suggest researching networking groups. So the reason is, if it's a local-based type of town, you do want to be a part of either business groups or anything that will get you in front of people. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not a networker, I'm nervous. It's okay, just go make friends. Think about it as just going out and connecting to people. And then once you figure out that, let's say there is a group and you see there's one person who is always out and about and doing things, maybe do give a gift certificate for photo session. So you would do it, let's say, for the amount of that gift certificate, so they can purchase more if they want to. But that person can be your ambassador, I would probably.
Brand advocate, I call it.
Yes. Because those connections early on in Tallahassee, for me, what they did is people started sharing. They started noticing. We've done more and more over the years, and now our brand is very strong here. But it did take a few years to settle, because I didn't pre-plan it. That's one of the things. But even on the beach, we do connect to the right concierges. We do connect to the right rental companies. It's all networking in person, so people can spread the word. That part, do not skip the part of in-person networking. It's very important. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, definitely incorporate online, but in person is important as well.
I think also we get scared off a little bit when we say networking, because you think you're going to go to some convention hall and it's going to be
that's very true.
Realistically, it's not. Go to the local co-working space if you have one, or coffee shop. Start editing your photos in the coffee shop and strike up a conversation with someone that's also working. It's making friends, but as a grown-up, which is hard, but I think it's making business friends.
As one more little secret as well, if you are, let's say, I don't know, like a branding photographer, headshot photographer, and you're moving to a different area, I would absolutely 100% suggest sponsoring a professional organization, let's say a bar association, or we sponsor Women Lawyers Association. We sponsored in the past the realtors. So they all have different organizations. They always look for sponsors, always 100%. I would suggest literally reaching out and seeing who is in that town or area that maybe your target clients, maybe your avatar who is amazing. Or let's say if it's moms, sometimes they have associations for just moms who are in this something, right? I would literally reach out and say, I would love to be a sponsor for the events or upcoming anything that you have, anything.
Yeah.
So yes, because that's a great idea to just show your brand, and over time you'll build trust with them.
It's definitely generating awareness. I always think that that is really key, and it's beyond social media. It's more in person. It can be Google Ads. It can be a website.
Right.
But
Yeah.
speaking of that, if you had to pick one marketing method, what would it be? Only one. You're only allowed to market.
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh my goodness. One would be the networking, because Google ads are great. Facebook ads it depends on the area, I guess, and the purpose. Email marketing is great too. But the more people you know and they trust you, the more they will refer to you, because anything online is still not a personal experience. So people kind of go by, oh, let's see this and this. But once the person who you photograph is so passionate and recommending you, that's worth so many more of those cold leads or warm leads from online. So in my opinion, I would not skip that one. It's one of the most important ones.
That's awesome. I really do think that it's very underrated, in-person networking or making friends, if we want to call it, or just even utilizing your existing client base that you've met before to get you referrals. I love it. You are very busy. You have a studio and on-location business, and now you're helping other photographers with their vacation hotspot businesses. How do you balance it all?
That's a hard one.
What do you do? Tell us, what's the secret?
Yes.
I need the secret. Okay. I'm asking everybody.
Yes, in reality, we have to be just fluid, because we have 4 kids between 2 years old and 17.
Excuse me, 2 years old?
Yeah, we have a 2-year-old, since we're a blended family. Our
17, wow.
Yes. Yeah. That's where we're running into a lot of schedules. We are at 4 different schools this year. So we have to, in reality, I have to have help. I have assistants. We juggle a lot, but at the same time, we have to find time, even as a husband and wife together. We get a nanny. We make sure we still have a date night. Well, we don't call it an official date night, but we always try to find time to do things as a couple, as a family, like going on the cruise at least, or doing this, and like some things as a family besides photography, because I'm a workaholic. I love it. I can sit in my office till like 1 a.m. And my husband is probably my best accountability partner as far as that. He knows when to stop me and pull me out of the office and say, that's it for tonight. You're done. Yeah. We don't have a rigid plan like, okay, Sunday is a non-work day. Because sometimes it still happens that I still have to reply to an email or do things, but I try to dedicate our weekends more to kids than to work. But I still hop on the computer or do something, or if we have, like usually we do one studio, like photo session or day on Saturday or Sunday a month. We try to super limit it if we have to and give that option to the clients if they ask. But the rest of the time is then family time. Yeah. Although I still can run and go check my email or do a reel, I still do that because that's me.
I think it's interesting. Entrepreneurs as a whole seem to be a little bit of a workaholic, or the ones that lasted, right? Let's just say that.
Right.
Someone was asking, oh, what do you do for a hobby? What? I photograph. That's my hobby. If I can just try around. So to try to be realistic, it is a fluid job. You will be responding. If you need that break, you can actually create it, but don't be mad on yourself if that's not happening. I see other photographers and they're like, okay, I'm really scheduled. I have this on Monday and Thursdays on my newborn shoots, and I edit this day and this, that, and the other. And
yes, I agree with you.
Do that. Granted, I've gotten better about not working on the weekends. I have 1 child. Hats off to 4 kids. But I've gotten better about that. But I don't want to feel guilty if I'm going to respond to an email or respond to a request. And, and I don't anymore. You know what? My job is flexible enough, and that's why I'm doing it. So if I have to spend a couple hours a weekend day, that's fine, because it lets me pick up my kid 3 days a week.
Right. No, I agree with you, because I had somebody before show me the calendar and how they mark everything per day in little time slots. And that's and I was like, wow, why? Because I have so many things happening. Let's say the school calls and my daughter has a stomach ache and I need to go pick her up, or like something else. And it's just sometimes last minute and I cannot deal with these little time slots that have to be dedicated to those things. So to me, it's okay, I know what's happening this week and I'm going to find time for it. I'm not as rigid.
And the thing about that is sometimes that causes more stress. I think I've attempted that before. I've attempted where I time block or I do that. And then something happens, like my newborn the baby's born early. So then I have to move that day and then I get all out of sorts. And I was just like,
oh, absolutely. Right.
Totally. I don't think anything is working for me, which is why I keep asking that question.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it works for some other people. So it doesn't work, let's say, for me, because we have so many schedules to juggle and so many things that are happening. If somebody can be on track with that, perfect. That's great for them. Kudos to them. So, but it doesn't work for my life.
I don't ever work for my brain. My brain is just going in different directions. I mean, I'm so jealous of people that can do that. If you're new and you can do that, definitely try and time block and try and do that. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. In Florida, I think that you would have a little bit of seasonality of people coming down or not. Do you have seasonality? And if you do, how do you?
Absolutely. Yes, our beach season for the Northwest Florida is actually starting in spring break, and it depends on the state because people come from different states. Usually from early March to mid-April, we see the first flow of people. Then there's a little bit of downtime for about a month, but people still start coming on vacation because the weather is getting better. And then all the way till mid-August, it's like our busiest season on the beach. Interesting because once school starts, we see a huge drop in numbers right away because of how people go back to get kids ready for school and everything. But then still, since the fall is so mild here, nice and warm, all the way hot. I should say hot. I shouldn't say mild. It's hot all the way to October. A lot of people still come to vacation whose either kids are grown or like babies, so they don't care about school yet. So, and then we see again the influx during the Thanksgiving week and the Christmas break, the holiday time in December, early January. That's where we see it. So it's basically we have different patches throughout the year. How we deal with seasonality. First of all, you know how you hear that you have to niche down into one niche and that's it, and you have to be okay. I found the opposite because it was so interesting for me. The weddings here, when I was in weddings full time, it was only fall and the spring. So it means that would leave the whole summer open for the families. And that's why I was that started making my mindset shift a little bit because I was, whoa, hold on, these are different seasons even within our area. But when we moved to Tallahassee, I saw that diversifying and not sticking to just one, let's say just senior photography, and that's it. Diversifying can give you a lot more income throughout the year because now, and we do have an advantage of the studio now. So besides the beach, we could, besides just those times when we are busy on the beach, then the whole February, I was advertising boudoir, or actually started in January, early January. So we had a great success in boudoir photography in February because we made sure we covered that slow month on the beach with something else. And then in April, when I knew that after the spring break, we would still have a little bit of a gap, we advertised Mother's Day special a month ahead. So the photos are ready for Mother's Day. So again, we had success. So we started doing those promotions or specials,
limited edition.
Yes, as an addition to fill up the time when we know historically, since we kind of look back on our previous years, when it's slower, we know that these are the months we would probably run something else in a different genre, even maybe to attract those clients who are maybe thinking about something as boudoir or Mother's Day or anything like that.
With your studio, you fine art portraiture, so you can stem your branding across that. I think that's interesting on how, especially with being a vacation destination, now you're starting to learn of the ebbs and flows. okay, well, they're coming for spring break for this month, then I'm off a month, and then in this, that, and the other. That's kind of crazy. But I think if you're a newer photographer and you're in an area and it's your first year, oh, I have nothing on the books. I suck. I'm going to reduce my prices. You got to give it a couple of years to figure out.
Absolutely.
And I remember I was very adamant on niche, not niche. I've got a niche and I'm being like, all right, I'm a family photographer, but I love newborns. They kind of go together. And the newborns did deseasonalize me a little bit because they're all not in the fall or the spring. So I was like, okay. And then I really am focusing on this. And then I had a couple of clients that wanted headshots. Really? I don't really like grown-ups, like, but like, do I have to talk to you? But, whoa. But I found that because I'm family photographer, I can do these in 2 seconds.
Right.
And then they send me nice emails. Oh, I got a job because of your photograph. I really gave them confidence. I liked this. And I liked how where I am, they need a new headshot, new year. They want to get a new job. And so January and February, where it's slow, no families are doing anything really. I was, okay, then I can bump up my headshot marketing and I just do Google ads for it. And I have a separate website, but I don't go crazy on it. Just Google ads, the return on investment is great and it fills up those times. So I love that you said that about using different genres to fill your calendar. Love that. I have a good question for you. So I think because you probably get these clients that maybe a one-off, maybe they come back every year or anything like that. Do you have any clients that come to you that you're, wow, you're giving me spidey sense that we're really not going to work well together? Do you have any red flags? And if so, what are they?
It's rare that it's really like that, but it does happen. And I want to say if it happens 2 or 3 times in a row, that's when a lot of people freak out and they want to throw a towel. But when you look back, since we do have an advantage of looking back and say, oh, it was just literally a coincidence of having 2 or 3 back-to-back, like completely, I should have known better.
Yeah.
And the message to the new photographers would be, do not get discouraged if it does happen to you. As far as the red flags, sometimes, and we communicate to all of our clients, not just by email. We pick up the phone and call them because in-person connection will tell you a lot about person. So recently, actually, I had a very interesting experience. So the lady right away was very condescending. And she kept telling me, yeah, we do it all the time. We do it every half a year. And she was just off, like the vibe and negativity. I even gave her the option. And usually the way I know, let's say when nice people say, well, it's out of my price range or something. Of course, we will be here for you when we're ready because we do this and this, right? So and this lady kept saying, no, I want to do that. I still want to do it. I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't want to decline her and say, well, you are actually very negative and I don't know if I'll even be okay with photographing you because when you have that feeling and then you're photographing somebody and you, oh gosh, I don't even know, like it's just like you can't be creative when you have negativity at you or this. So and we ended up booking her, but then she kept giving us, because we do a pre-session consultation on what to wear and we do it on the Zoom call or the phone. We just don't just send out the questionnaire because the more times you connect on Zoom or in person, the better connection is before the camera, or in front of the camera, because then you kind of know each other. So we do it a lot, but she kept being negative and keep being negative. Whoa, hold on. So I very nicely asked her, well, how did you even find us? What was that attracted you to us? And she said, well, my biggest regret in the previous photo session was that I didn't get the makeup and hair done professionally with this certain artist that you guys are working with. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. It's not even about our photography. It's about her not getting makeup previously. So I very politely said, well, you know what? Since you've covered this and this and this, and it doesn't sound like a very good thing for you right this moment. So look into these few other photographers. They are running this special for this whatever seasonal thing we were doing. And she ended up canceling because she did find more value there. But I said, just book this makeup artist to do that for you for that photo session. So and I really hope she had a great experience there. But that's so rare. But I had to see one red flag after. Here, you have to know your boundaries, because I didn't want to be stuck at the photo session where she's just everything is wrong already.
Then everything would be wrong after the shoot.
Yeah.
It's not just the day of the shoot. It can really get to you. If your radar is off, it's usually when you're tired. I'd say either you're overworked, your radar goes down, and then, or if you don't have anything, then you're kind of like, okay, well, I need this client.
Yeah.
But it can really take away from your business. It's funny because I have a phone phobia. I really hate getting on the phone.
Yeah.
So I have someone answer the phone to give me the information. But I found that I'm actually really good at tone via email or things that they say in their emails. But I do think if you are able to get on the phone or Zoom with them, it is a good, I just know that myself, that it can be done via emails, probably better via phone call, but.
Because you can hear the intonation and how they speak. And if they're saying a joke, because let's say my husband is super sarcastic, but when you hear him in person saying something, you're like, oh, it's a joke, it's okay. But email or text could be super dry then. I'm like, whoo, I don't know if I would take it well if I was a client. So that's why we go into more personal. But I get it that it's not for everyone. So yes, you do you, but just look for those little things, because one is okay, because then you can make sure and reassure them and that it's all good and everything. But if it's one thing after the other, definitely give yourself some time to think, is it the right thing for me? And usually I don't say straight on, we're not a good fit. I word it very nicely, and I usually say something like, well, maybe if you feel like that's not the right time or not the right products that we do, or we're out of budget or whatever it is, whatever the issue is, usually you kind of get it. Maybe come back, we'll be here for you next time you're ready. So I try to
give them the out
about it, because sometimes it does sound too harsh. Oh, we're not a good fit.
And
it's like,
fashion everywhere. One thing that you mentioned that I've actually really liked, and I bring it up, is you said if you have a couple of clients in a row, don't get discouraged. I love that. Regardless if your radar is amazing, you're going to get a couple a year. I always joke and be like, it's a couple a year. Just try and move on as quick as possible. But now you can't make everyone happy. Somebody is going to have the insecurity that she or he thinks that he's not bald and you've made him bald. Oh, you've added 20 pounds. Some people have definitely body dysmorphia. Or they're just having a really hard time. They're just taking out.
Yeah, because a lot of times it comes to how they feel about themselves. And we do master retouching. So let's say if that's a problem there, a lot of times we fix it, we reassure them. But sometimes it's just something they don't even know that it's them, but it is them. Because if you provide the service and you are very transparent about what's included, how much it is, what you do, then they should be on board. But another thing I want to mention is always ask who the final decision makers are in the family. Because what we ran into, let's say there is one main client who's booking and they don't communicate, especially if it's an extended family or sometimes their husband, they don't communicate with them. Let's say since we are IPS, we want to make sure everybody's on the same page about pricing, products that we offer. But in general, it would be a great idea, because sometimes they don't even want to participate and they're dragged to the photo session. So we want to make sure everybody's on the same page before the experience and after the experience. So that way there's no consistencies. But we also get 1 or 2 a year to this day.
One of the things that I probably waited a little too long to do, and I think is actually really good for photographers, especially starting out, is go to a photographer and get your headshot done, or go to a photographer and get a family shoot. Because I hate my photographs. It's nothing to do with the photographer at all. It's just, oh gosh, why, like my big vein coming in my forehead. And I never verbalize it, but I think as a client, I'd be like, oh, I hate my photos. It's not to do with you. It's to do with them. And so unless they're unhappy with it, but it was interesting also seeing a process and seeing how someone's preparing you for a shoot can really help, or not preparing you. So you realize there's like a little gap in the
Right.
that you need to do.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
and you can tell the other photographer, I booked people and they know I'm a photographer and they probably hate me because I'm probably the worst person to ever be photographed because I act like a 5-year-old. Actually, a 2-year-old. But anyway, speaking of funny shoots, have you...
Now you'll have to come and we will have to do it. Now, since you said that, I'm like, okay, we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that. But you were... one of my friends, unfortunately, she sent me all of the raws where I was making all of these faces at her. And yeah, I was like, oh, why'd you do that? Because I'm a 4-year-old. And then my friend did a maternity shoot for me and I was bored after 5 minutes and I climbed into the crib. And I was like, take a picture of me here. Like, who does that?
Oh my gosh.
Now, I'm really bad. I am. I will tell you, I am the worst person to photograph. And so...
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
No, I think I have fun, but
yeah,
it's, I kind of do make it a little hard for photographers. I try not to. I try my best. Anyway, so tell us about a funny shoot that you've done.
Okay. Well, maybe not funny. So I'll tell you two things. The one where we thought everything was wrong and it ended up an amazing experience. And then I'll tell you a couple that were such good vibes and the best memories. So let's start with the one that's kind of the worst one. So we come to this family photo session during Thanksgiving week, and they're multi-generational. There's great grandma, all of those. And as soon as we pull up and they're coming down from their house downstairs, the oldest grandma, great grandma, falls down the stairs and hurts herself, and there's blood and... so we're like, and we're like, I've been going there, what are we doing? So everybody's kind of panicking there, and we're, oh no, we're going to have to wrap it up because everybody's in like crazy mood right now, trying to figure out what's happening. So obviously we're trying to be helpful and see if we're literally getting the ambulance or what. So, and then she calmed down for a second and everybody sat around and kind of calmed her down and she's like, okay, I'm ready. And we're like, what? You just fell down the stairs. What? Their house has a little beach strip right there. And she's like, yeah, I'm ready. So let's just go. And we're like, okay. And it ended up amazing that we actually photographed and ended up with the most beautiful portraits for that family that they've never had.
Did she break her?
Yeah.
No, I'm worried. Is she okay?
It was like some skin condition where if she hurt herself, it's like bleeding. So yeah, she ended up being okay. But older people, you never know with them. It's a little drastic. But we were so worried about her because I'm like, I don't know if I should move her around or just let her down and have everybody around her. So that was a little stressful on the kind of panicky end. But the best photo sessions we have with the most beautiful vibes ever are surprise proposals. Those are amazing. And we photographed probably 6-7 last year. The best part is not only when the guy proposes, because that is amazing on its own. That's the surprise. It's also when they see their family members who were in on it. That's tears. And we're like happy because they're all hugging and it's just such a height of the emotions because we've seen it all from surprise proposal where we would take the couple outside because let's say the future bride knows that it is family photo session and we just take 2 of them on the beach prior to the family photo session to do a couple test photos before the whole family comes down. And then he drops on one knee and there's an airplane saying, will you marry me? With a sign. So romantic, so beautiful. That's one of the things. And then she turns around and on the balcony, there's the whole family and the best friends. And then she's, oh my gosh, I did think a couple of days ago that I saw my best friend so far down the beach that I thought I was crazy. I knew she was in Texas. It's just like, it's so funny to hear later what they were thinking or what was happening. And the recent one that was absolutely heartwarming too is when the future bride who said yes, so that moment happened, it was all beautiful. And my husband is posing the couple and his parents who they came together to the beach with. So she's posing them to look at the camera to do actual classic portrait. What she doesn't see is down the beach, her family is walking right behind them. And my husband, because they're all kind of talked and he organized it, and they sit in that photo behind us. So she doesn't know that her family is there. And then once she turned and saw her brother and sister-in-law and then her mom and dad, I want to make it a cover of the book. Obviously, we didn't. It was still a huge photo in their book. But it was the moment she completely melted down because she didn't realize her parents are here. Her brother is here. And it still gives me the chills talking about it. It's just such happy moments for families. That's why we do what we do to make everybody just, I don't know. It's just like such an amazing feeling.
I think I'd be scared if, I don't know. I think for me, missing the moment of proposal, something happening, I think
a lot of planning goes into it. But we make sure the guy.
They say no. I would cry. I'll be like, oh, that book
never happened. Never, ever happened. It's always yes.
Because I think if someone is going to that extent, hire a photographer, is really thinking about really thinking about the other person.
Right. So usually it's a yes. I've never seen a no. All 14 years of doing photography, I've never seen a no. I mean, probably it happens, but in general, it's always a yes. It's always happy. If you're newer, you just have to make sure your settings are right. You should talk to the guy or girl who's proposing. So you make sure the logistics is down to a T before he brings her down. That's the biggest thing. The pre-planning phase is crucial to get it correctly.
That's amazing. I remember organizing a proposal photographer for a friend. We had this map going and everything, and I was really nervous because I think he was on vacation, and he said she really likes photography, and I was like, well, are you going to photograph the proposal? Should I? I was like, yeah, you should. And he said, okay, can you help with the photography? I was like, absolutely, this is fun. So I see how it's fun. This has been amazing. And wrapping up a little bit, what's the one tip that you would give to a new photographer that's just starting out?
Okay, let's think about
just one.
Okay, just one is to get the right mentor for you that has been in your shoes, that grew over the years, because that's crucial to have the right connection that will guide you. It's almost like a guide through the experience and their mistakes, so you don't do it on your own. And you have to make sure they're legit, because some people say they've done it, but it's not even close to what you need. So find the mentor for you, especially the business side, because a lot of people are passionate about photography and they can tell you all the settings and all the lighting and all of the posing, but they're not good business people. If you are in it for the career that you will love, you have to have a business mentor that is a photographer, been in your shoes. Because business mentors in other industries could be great for other reasons. Let's say the financial advisor, accountant, like all of those. They're great business-minded people, but they would not know the niche and the photography workflows. That's why definitely look into somebody you connect with. That's my biggest thing. Yes.
I think connecting is key. We're all different. Somebody might need a person that really has somebody holding them accountable. Somebody might need a really soft touch type of thing. I hate criticism. Don't tell me what. Me, I feel like someone's got to be overtly with a positive reinforcement versus someone works really well. Just find the right personality fit too. Okay, it can be where someone could put you off when it's not necessarily that them or anything. It's just their personality and yours.
But exactly, because let's say my husband and I, we're running the same business. We're in it together, right? But his personality is so different than mine. I may say it's so different for other people, but his coaching, let's say, it would be directed for other personality type. We're so different in that aspect. That's why I can see how it could be the same message, but in a different vessel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just transparent, but I try to be very empathetic of people's situations. And I think I attract people that are very empathetic too, which works. Because although I'm like scared of my mentees. No, I'm just kidding. I will put it in the show notes, but tell our audience where they can find you and what you're up to.
You can find us on Instagram. We have three main ones. Don't love it. Actually, maybe four, but let me just mention. So the name of our studio is Teodoro Studios. We have the Instagram dedicated just to beach clients, and it's a marketing thing because that's for one audience. Then we have Teodoro Studios Tallahassee for our local clients, since it's completely different portfolio. And now we have Teodoro Education. That's the one where I give some tips and little nuggets of things for photographers so they can grow. And it's not necessarily even just for vacation hotspot photographers, but in general, you'll get some things where you will be like, oh, aha moment, or, oh, I didn't think about it. So maybe things like that. Yeah. And if you ever want to DM me, I'm here for you guys.
I appreciate it. And your website also is amazing. We'll pop that in there too. Thank you so much, Alena, for coming. It's been amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on here.